we are officially TikTok famous. Woo. So we TikTok's been the slow burn, man. You know, it's interesting, right? So social media is such a wild game, right?
It is.
And it really is, like everybody says, it's a game of consistency, right? We have been so consistent with our social media platforms over the last, let's just say, 3 to 4 years, right? Yeah. And we've made some really good headway with stuff, right? Our channels have done very well considering, you know what I mean? Like, you know, from a local standpoint, I really don't think there's anybody else that has the following or puts out the amount of content that we put or anything like that. You know, we're definitely doing better than a lot of dog training companies, just, you know, from a national standpoint. But obviously you get into the outliers of these like really mega popular people on social media. And we've never been able to like really branch into that territory. You know what I mean? Like we've always been like above your local and regional kind of place, right? But not quite at that place where it's like we're like globally exploding, right?
Yeah.
And not that we've done that just yet here, but we finally started getting some of our glimpses of it here, right? We had a couple videos just freaking explode on TikTok over the last week here. One of them in particular of our new dog Thor that we've talked about a couple times on the podcast here now is at like, I think like 7.3 million views. We, in like 6 days, gained like 18,000 new followers, which is an absurd amount, obviously. Yeah. And really, you know, it's what everybody said, where it is just the consistency game and just the keep plugging at it and putting good shit out and being analytical of the stuff that you're putting out. And, you know, you'll continue to see growth with it. And I'm very interested to see how this continues to grow because, you know, all of our platforms, Instagram is kind of like, it's kind of stayed very stagnant lately. Like we've sat in like the 14,000 followers range for quite a long time. And it's interesting because like we've been getting way more engagement lately than we ever have on our posts. Like I would say a majority of our posts that we're putting out are getting 600, 700, 800 likes, you know, quite a few comments, stuff like that. And I feel like every time I freaking look at my phone, it's like 20 new followers. But that number just doesn't want to climb, right? Yeah. I don't know if it's a combination of like, we have a bunch of bots that are following us or something that keep getting like disconnected what it is, but that number just does not want to grow. But from like a YouTube standpoint, like we're still, I mean, when we first started doing the podcast, if I'm not mistaken, because remember we switched it to the Miracle channel, right? And I think when we first started it, we were only at like 1,000 subscribers or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it was like right in that range.
Yeah. I think maybe 1,200.
Yeah.
Maybe.
1,000, 1,200, somewhere around there. You know, we're coming up on, 3,800 now at this point. And just looking at like what other people have said, right? Like I remember we had Garrett on because Garrett obviously has 2 million TikTok subs. He's got a bunch of YouTube ones and stuff like that. I think he said like up to 10,000 was like so freaking hard. And I've heard other people talk about this. I know Casey Neistat used to talk about this all the time where he's like, you know, up into 10, you know, the first 0 to 100 is so hard. Then 100 to 1,000 is like super hard, but a little easier. And 1,000 to 10,000 is like very hard, but even a little bit easier. And then it keeps getting easier and easier. And I'm really interested to see if we notice that same kind of progression. You know what I mean? Like if we still see this continue to compound and grow, you know? We put so much into the social media that we put out. And it's very nice to see, you know, not just like we've always seen, you know, I talk about with like, you know, people that have their businesses and stuff, you know, the return on the investment from the standpoint of the amount of business we get through the social media from like a local standpoint. 100% worth it, obviously, right? But I really would like to see this continue to grow from that bigger standpoint.
Oh, yeah, for sure.